I'm never really having like a full block of time without thinking about what's next.
Man, amen. Amen. I feel that. It's been crazy, and I can only imagine like going through a launch right now. What would you say in that regard, like, is the biggest thing that you're feeling with like having such a big thing come up like a launch? How does that accelerate things for you personally?
No, it's good. It's kind of just frustrating sometimes because we were supposed to have launched like basically a week ago at least. But this is like some of these are just like we have to be patient as well. Like some integrations that we're trying to do. There like there's some bugs here and there, and then we have to follow up with the people providing the APIs, and then hey, look, this is broken. Can you fix it? And then like we have to do that back and forth. So like we're at the finish line, but like yeah, this is like the final like touch wood. Like this week we gotta launch basically. Yeah, it's mostly because like once we launch, we do like a beta, a testing phase. We have like a bunch of users, a handful of users to you know go through the new product and give us feedback, make sure everything's working well end to end. And then like that phase is what we're really excited for. It's like after the testing phase. Oh, wait, are you recording? Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the testing phase, that's when we can like properly accelerate our marketing efforts and focus on like proper business, like revenue and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. What I mean with those things and in life in general, it's like one thing after the other. I learned it so much that I tried to like jump and you fall flat on your face. Maybe if you like levitate for like a week or two and you're like, oh, I'm coasting, I'm chilling, and then suddenly life's like, nope. Like you got to get the basics right. So it makes
Yeah, like
sense.
I think for us it's like we just got to be consistent. Like at least do what we have to do every day. Um, and then keep consistently putting in the effort, not just like, hey, like we push like a bunch of features like really quickly for 2 days and then like feel stagnant because like something's broken and we have to follow up. Like no, we have to keep the same cadence. Um, and we're basically just like almost there. So like we just gotta keep going. Um, yeah, I think it's fine. Like it's just a matter of like maintaining a steady pace, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you think like with all of this AI stuff, I really felt it in my own experience. I've been using Claude a lot more to do and Lovable to create a website and to, like to design a one pager for films and everything. And it's like it's getting fucking crazy. I don't know, like Lovable especially blew
Mhm.
me the fuck away. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's insane.
what is this?
Hmm. Wait, so what did you build with Lovable?
So right now I'm building a landing page for a movie that I did for like a documentary, and I needed to have like a
Oh, nice.
functional
Yeah, yeah.
page that has like a bunch of features. And I was just like, hey, here's the synopsis. Here are some of like the most important things to create like a professional website. And I look at it and I'm like, 2 years ago, I would have paid 5K for this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
it's getting crazy. Yeah. I think it's good for stuff like landing pages for sure. They say you can build apps with it. But I really think like as a non-technical person, to build an app that requires multiple users and like to fix the bugs and shit like that, like it just becomes a bit more tedious. So I don't know if we're quite there yet, but I mean I've heard some people do it, but yeah, I think for it's like really good. Like you can even build like sophisticated landing pages and wait lists. You know, maybe simple apps. Yeah.
It's so impressive. And in 15 minutes, it's like I gave Claude the information, like, hey, write a perfect prompt for Lovable. Just gave all my
Mhm.
things and put it into Lovable. And I was like, okay, this is getting this is getting crazy. I feel like we're gonna reach a point. I was thinking about it. I was talking with my girlfriend today about it, where I feel like, especially video editing, the thing that I do
Mhm.
most soon, I'm sure, like probably in 2026 still, there's going to be some platform or some developer, maybe it already exists even, where you can vibe edit, where you can literally just like tell the platform like, hey, this is the video, I want this and that, these types of transitions, and that thing is just going to vibe edit. And it's like the same thing, like as you say, like I think it's the same with building websites or apps. You need someone that has experience in these things that can go ahead and manually fix over some of the bugs, but it's like you clean up the process of the AI.
Absolutely. I think yeah, man. There's like a whole um actually like a whole segment of so-called engineers that are called like vibe coding cleanup specialists. Because the other side of it is like it spits out so much shit, but um it also ships a lot of slop in code as well. So yeah. But look, I think that's a solvable problem. Like just to imagine how far we've come in the last 2 years, 3 years it's absolutely insane. And yeah, editing videos. Well, you know what's interesting is like OpenAI had the lead. Like they first came out with GPT, and um, but then they positioned themselves more. They focused more on being a general purpose model. So yes, they pushed the frontiers of coding agents, but they didn't index as heavily on coding agents as Claude did. I think that's where Claude's really reaping the fruits of its focus now, is because they were like, look, let's just do one thing world class. Let's become world class at one thing, and that's coding. And now coding is basically the foundation of multiple other things. So now it's funny because they focus so much on coding, they're able to become a more capable general purpose agent from there, from that foundation. And now they're taking over like design, presentations, websites, like everything. Um, legal, so yeah. I think it's very interesting. I think OpenAI can still, like, I guess theoretically has like great data and capabilities to compete. Like their coding agents are pretty good too, but it's just interesting. Like in the span of a few months, like tables have turned. And I mean, Claude is one. Anthropic is one. Well, they're number one right now on the coding agent front, right? And if you're the top model, like most people, like at least especially most companies with like with some funding and some credits, they're only going to use the top models most likely, right? So it's almost like a monopoly for us for a brief period of time, for a few months until the next release or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that is going to change now, perhaps with AIX, with the cluster deal
That's a
that
freaking really cool deal. Yeah, shit, so much shit has happened this week. I think, well, first of all, to backtrack a little bit, XAI, I wouldn't say was the pioneer in LLMs or AI in general. Like Tesla has been doing like self-driving cars, and they've done really well with AI in that domain. Um, and then they've come up with their own like image models, Grok, in Twitter, in X. Um, and so like it's being used sort of because users are just given it. So like with X Premium, you sort of just use Grok, and that's like that's like what you use for images and LLMs and chat. But I don't see that many people actually using Grok, the chat application, compared to like Claude, the chat application. Like it's a clear night and day difference between the number of users, right? Um, but here with so like yeah, for context, Elon through SpaceX has made an offer to buy out Cursor, which is I think the number one coding agent is. Let me just check. If it's not number one, it's like top two for sure. Um, Yeah, it's like basically Claude Code, Cursor are basically the top, right? So, and for technical engineers, like who actually understand what's going on, like my whole team is using Cursor. I know like a bunch of people using Cursor. It's basically split between Claude Code and Cursor. So they have a lot of developer data. Like developers are using it on a daily basis, to build features and everything. And this is something that XAI never really had. They didn't have like an advantage in developing coding tools. So buying out Cursor would just be a massive for them. Like that's one, just for the data alone. Secondly, XAI also has Colossus, their own cluster of GPUs. So it's like infrastructure for AI, and they can give Cursor exclusive compute to train their model. So Cursor themselves has been competing till now mostly on the application layer, but that means they're bringing in OpenAI models, they're bringing in Claude models, they're bringing all third-party models, and they also introduced their own model called Composer, which they fine-tuned. But to be honest, like they're the it's not as good as Claude, right? It's not as good as the like Opus 4.7, the Claude's model. So what Cursor is trying to do is reduce their dependence on these third-party model providers to not only increase their revenue but reduce their costs. Because the cost of running third-party models like Anthropic is a lot for them, right? They don't even own the infrastructure, they don't own the model space. Um, if they push people to use Composer, they can reduce the cost and increase revenue, but it's still it's still like not the number one model people are using. So this is a good bet for them, right? They get exclusive access to like a massive cluster of GPUs to train that composer model and make it like hopefully make it the top model for coding, which would then put them in a seriously like uh, competitive position to Claude. So yeah, so I think like basically that structure of that deal was like fantastic. Um, I think it's a genius move for someone who has that kind of resources to be like, hey, look, I'll give you an acquisition offer that is like it's an offer that's too good to be true almost, right? Like we have to remember it's like a 4-year-old company. It went from zero to $60 billion offer. That's like insane. That's unbelievable,
That
right?
is so insane.
And that's like the best case scenario. He's like, okay, look, we'll spend a few months this year to train. If everything goes well, we'll buy you out for 60 billion. If not, we'll pay you 10 billion for the training efforts, for the efforts. So you don't leave with zero, basically. So the worst case is they leave with 10 billion, right? Um, it's amazing. And you know what's even more crazy is like I think earlier that week, they were actually trying to fundraise themselves, like independent of this Elon Musk offer, right? They were trying to raise $2 billion to I would assume it's for the same reasons, like to train their own models, and take that bet and compete with Claude. So it came at such a beautiful time. The deal is like freaking amazing for them. And I think like if this actually works out, then Ek AI is gonna be a serious competitor right up the ranks of like Anthropic and OpenAI. Because if you own the coding model space, you can really branch out into many things.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but even then, like, of course, in a way, if you invest 60 billion, I mean, you better be. That is such an
Well,
unfathomable amount of money, too.
yeah, it's like it's not a throwaway of 60 billion. It's a very strategic, intelligent, high risk bet. But yes, he has the resources. And you know what's crazy is like they're supposed to be IPOing SpaceX this summer as well. And all of these companies are going to come under one company, one mega corporation, like Tesla, SpaceX, XAI. Like they're all going to come under one mega corporation.
So that's
So
that's IPOing. Like, I don't know the
IPO, so
term.
like that means like going public. So that
Okay.
means your like SpaceX is gonna like list publicly on the stock market,
Hmm.
and then people can buy shares. So right now it's like private investors still, right? Um, It's not accessible. Like I can't buy SpaceX shares right now, but I can later in summer when they IPO. So, um, and like for people who know finance a little bit, they know that like events like just the events and the news around an IPO can really hype it up. And markets, yes, are supposed to be based on fundamentals, but it's equally based on sentiment, how people feel, and how much hype around a company also determines the price of the shares. Um, so yeah, I think it's like probably one of the most anticipated IPOs right now, especially given this cursor acquisition stuff.
Wow. Yeah, and I mean, and if they bundle all up together, we're really looking at perhaps like there was a sentence you said in that video you did already kind of like detailing it even further, which was also like Elon played through capitalism. And if he makes this
Yeah.
like a huge own company, like all of this under one roof, it goes public. This really feels like a bulldozer, you know, just like from the strength of it, or I guess more fitting to it, like a rocket of sorts. You know, I feel like all of these maybe science fiction ideas of like, hey, let's shoot up rockets in the sky and try to mine asteroids for elements and etc. You know, so I feel like it's been talked about a bit too with just how much gold and other valuable minerals out there in space. I mean, if you create something like this, I mean, this is going to reach, I mean, in the next few years, like until 2030, I mean, what is his net worth now? Like a few 800 billion or something like that? Like,
I mean, I think he's going to become a trillionaire very soon at
yeah,
this rate, right? Um, but yeah, like, see, this is the thing, right? Like, Elon's case is very everything he does just feels like Thomas Edison, like, and then like the Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison scenario is kind of like what's like how he plays. He's like the Edison of our times. Like I like say what you will of his personality and personal traits, whatever. But I think just in terms of business acumen, he is unmatched in terms of the ability to capitalize on an opportunity, take risks, and then sell a vision that is so compelling. And it's a vision of the future, right? I mean, by definition, the vision is the future. And most of his company is valuable not because of where the current state of things are, it's because of where the future will be. He sold the future so well, and that's what you're seeing right now.
that's that's a really good analysis of it actually. Because I think like the same thing if I think about Tesla, if I think about SpaceX, Hyperloop, or all of these different projects, it's always the future. It's like this idea of, hey, we're building on something that is actually the vision of the future. And the only thing like that is to me a bit like, okay, but we give essentially a person then also the power to really impact the future. And it's this thing where like his personality comes in and so many other things and the humanness of it as well. We're like, whoa. And he's not the only one that's doing this, you know, like with Jeff Bezos also developing space programs and everything like that. We're entering a phase where the future is almost more decided by corporations than government. At least
Yeah,
that's
well, you know,
what it trends to,
it's
in my opinion.
true. It's true, but at the same time, like this is where I'm kind of like I don't take a like a hey like big corporations are bad stance because I'm like okay look, corporations are made of capable people ideally, and governments are not supposed to be like entrepreneurs necessarily, right? And ideally in the world, everything that's happened at scale and productivity, ideally for the benefit of humanity, is because of capable entrepreneurs. So to me, it's like, okay, yeah, like theoretically, we don't want the power to congregate around Elon or whatever, right? There could be a class of people who say that. But I'm like, okay, well, who is capable of doing the stuff that he's proposing to do? I don't even know anyone else who's that capable. You know what I mean? And who has a track record of defying the odds like him. So it's like there's two sides to that coin. Um, So I see like there is like the other end where it's like, look, he did PayPal, sold that company, basically could have chilled on the beach after that, which like he made like 200 million from that alone. And then he put every single dollar into his next venture and basically went broke again, like with Tesla. And then almost went bankrupt with Tesla during the 2008 crisis because he just believed in his mission so much. And then somehow he pulled through. And then now he's doing SpaceX because he likes space. And he read like a Dilbert Future as a kid or whatever, like some stupid novel. And that's that, and like it lights up his like inner child basically. Every time I hear him talk about technical stuff, you can just genuinely see us inner child spark in him. Like it genuinely doesn't seem to be about money. Like if it was about money, he would have just chilled a long time ago, right? Like at this point, it's like I just want to do cool shit before I die. That's just the kind of vibe I get.
Do you think that would be, because I've read it a long time, do you think that is also the secret of making a lot of money? To do something not focusing on money, but rather another element but money?
See, look, I think there's many ways to make money. There are people who make money by focusing on money, and yes, you can do that. Ultimately, the universe doesn't really reward your intentions. It'll just, well, at least like capitalism doesn't reward your intentions. It just rewards, okay, how much effort are you putting and how much outcomes are being produced from that effort, and then that's it. It doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person or whatever, right? But I think the most enjoyable way to make money is definitely to tie it into like your inner child type situation, right? Like if you're genuinely showing up every day and putting in like all you think about is your company or whatever you're doing with your company, then you have to be obsessed with what that company is trying to do in the world, right? And to be obsessed like that and to bring that passion every single day, it has to be motivated by more than just money. Um, yeah, because and I think like if you're exceptional at something, like you will reap the rewards one way or the other, right? So that's just I think how I think about it. It's like people focus too much on the money without focusing on their craft.
Yeah, I see that point. There was an interesting thing. I don't know if that necessarily connects, but there's an interesting thing. I was in a small Portuguese village and there was like an artistic ceramic studio. There was a really old dude in there. And we just had a conversation and I asked him like, okay, like, hey, like you're here making ceramics, what's the story? And he's like, yeah, I have a studio that I do with my wife and we sit there every day doing ceramics and then we sell it. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, and I asked him for advice. I said, okay, like as a young artist starting off in like the field, what is the main advice that you would give me? And he said, like, work on your craft every single day because it also goes away and it is important to keep that spark, to keep that craft alive. And I think that's super valuable to kind of do a crossover in because I think, yeah, you always know how to swim, you'll always know how to ride a bike, but I think especially if you want to be extraordinary at something, it's really nice to be hyper focused on one art form or another in order to find ways that we can really express ourselves to the best of our potential in that particular field.
Yeah, and then the other thing is like, look, if you only focused on money and you got money, then usually those are the people I see who feel empty once they get the money and to feel unfulfilled, like a lack of fulfillment. Whereas if you started with the craft that you truly enjoy and then you share whatever that is you enjoy with the world, and then maybe you reap some rewards from it, it's like, okay, like I was already enjoying myself. Now I'm just enjoying myself even more because people like what I do, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I feel like the other stereotype has like a thing of you see a lot in the world like where people who just get rich and then there are like as you say like okay so now what do I do, and then it's like usually like people who are like okay let me buy a huge plot of land and try to like do sort of community projects, or like if they found themselves in Bali after like chilling on the beach for 4 years, you know. And I think that's it. Just in general, it's an interesting development to see that also be a trend of like people who I think focused a lot on money, got it, and then they're like, oh well, this isn't fulfilling. They go within, they go on some type of journey, and they're like, okay, community living, or let's do a
Mm.
quinta here, let's do a festival, you know, like all these things. But I think it happens more and more, and I do like that. I do like this realization that I think depth is making a comeback in a way, in one way
Yeah.
or another. I think there's also the spiritual industrial complex, that is also kind
Oh,
of
there
like,
is. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I honestly, I got the word from this woman that is also like part of the network that I'm creating, and it's like the spiritual industrial complex. I think is a beautiful word for it. I think there's a lot of things in this like in the overall community where like it's
Actually, yeah,
it's
that makes sense. Yeah.
it's fancy words, you know. It's like branding and fancy words, and like, but if you get to the bottom of it, especially in the West, it's like very much like, okay, like what are we actually doing
Commercialization.
here?
Yeah.
What is it based on, you know? Um,
Hmm.
but I, you know, at the same time, I think there's value in everything, and we can learn from every experience. And it's we're all on a journey, and appreciating that we're all on a journey, and recognizing that in the other people as well, not to hold them to perfectionism or to be overly obsessed with things ought to
Yeah.
be a certain way, helps to differentiate it. And I think money is an interesting one in that regard, because it's such a sometimes frowned upon topic. Like if you speak to
I was
like
just
a
about to
lot of
say,
people that are like very left, you know, like very left wing, you're like, oh, the rich, the poor, it's all the elite, it's all the rich people. And like I see the argument. And at the same time, it's like if we are able to harvest the power that is money, we can do so much good with it as well.
yeah, and it's also like the fundamental problem here is people are judging each other for for a certain perspective, whereas the reality is capitalism's not going away. It's the life we live in. It's literally the world we live in. We need money to some degree. So we either accept that or we reject the people who are good at making money and then blame them for our situation because we're somehow not as good at as them at making money, right? And I'm like, okay, like you can live with that resentment, but then it's not going to change your situation, first of all. And secondly, it's just not a healthy state of mind to be in, I think, right? I think if you accept, okay, look, maybe capitalism is not the perfect system, who knows, right? But it's the system we've got. It's a system that's working to some degree for a large for a large scale, I guess. It's probably the best system we've come up with so far, right? So we don't have to sort of juggle two things against each other, which is like, how do I make money? And then how do I find something meaningful to do with my life? Right. I think that's the real conflict people are having. Um, the reality, for me, I think is just about it's about how you show up even through what you're doing. It doesn't matter actually that much how what you do. Yes, to a degree, like you don't want to just like do something that you completely hate, but if you can find joy in even some simple things in your life and then make money out of it, or maybe let's say like you work at McDonald's. Let's take a very, very basic job, right? You work at McDonald's maybe like 5, 6 hours a day. Um, maybe like to most people, you're like, okay, you're trading time for money, right? But what if you showed up to McDonald's with a nice, positive energy? You get to make friends in McDonald's, like your coworkers, for example. You spend 5, 6 hours, you make your money, and then you go back home, provide for your family. Like, if you come and approach that with a sense of purpose, like there's a two perspectives. You can always have a different perspective, right? I'm like, I think I choose to take the positive perspective because that is what is going to lead to a better life, anyways, in the long run, right? From that, doors will open. I mean, that's just how it works, you know? You show up with a positive attitude and with good energy every single day, something positive will happen to you. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I completely
Yeah.
agree. It's like, even if you look at it from the external perspective, imagine you're a mogul that has like a business venture, and you like you know, you're just at a McDonald's, you just want to get a burger, whatever. And like, of course, you would be much more rather to like an employee who's like very happy, very like, hey, how you doing? Having a good day? Like a little bit of convert, like that would spark a lot more interest to say, huh, that could be interesting as like a role. Like, hey, maybe you're having a good day and you're like, okay, McDonald's, what else can you do? Just like in any type of way. And you'd be much more likely to give the person that has like a positive mindset over like, yeah, do you want some fries with that? You know?
Yeah, yeah,
It makes
exactly.
a big difference.
Yeah. Positivity is an attraction frequency, you know? So that's all it is. It's like, how do that's what I mean. How do we show up in the world in today? How do we show up today with a frequency that is fulfilling me, nourishing me primarily, but then like as a consequence of that, it'll just automatically nourish everyone around me. I think that's like really the main thing. And then yeah, like work hard, like discipline, all these things are kind of just like symptomatic things. Um, yeah, like it's like foundational. Like I don't have to tell you to work hard if you like I shouldn't be telling you to work hard, you know what I mean? Um, you should be so excited to do the thing and put in hours in a day that you just feel tired at the end of the day, but then you want to go back in. You can't wait to go back in tomorrow after you're rested. You know what I mean? That's how you should feel.
And how do you say, or like for yourself, how would you say is something that you do in order to reach that state every day? Like, besides, of course, the hard work, like what you do externally, what is it that you would say you do internally in order to keep that mindset while going to work?
Look, I think every morning I'm just like there's always that like I guess image of my head of like, hey, look, like this launch is gonna be freaking awesome, and then like what's gonna happen around the launch, and then like it's pretty tangible and clear to me like what that vision is. So I guess like because I have that playing in my mind, I know what I'm going to work for every day. That's one thing. And secondly, it's like right now we're a small team. We're like a bunch of guys in a room in a co-working space. And we're all kind of like throughout the day we sort of vibe, we go for lunch, like we're just like in this together. It's kind of just enjoyable, like, hey, like we're going to I wouldn't say war, it's not like really like that aggressive, but it's like, hey, like we're trying to do this thing. We're just like some three dudes in a room trying to build a company that's actually like could do something like and then be useful to people. So I think it's pretty cool actually. Just to me, like it just feels like, hey, like I'm excited to see what just three random dudes can do and where it can go. Like and then like so like to me, like that's why the launch is like exciting. Yes, day to day there might be some odd frustrations here and there, like, hey, this API is broken or like we need to liaise with partners. But that's just like part of the process. Like it's not always gonna be like smooth. But overall, the big picture is like, hey, look, this is like if I don't think I would do anything else. You know, I mean, I'll probably, if it wasn't for this company, I'd probably be finding another similar kind of environment where I can just like make a meaningful difference and contribution. And by meaningful, I don't mean like saving the world type of meaningful necessarily, but I just mean like, hey, I'm a valuable member of this venture, and like we're trying to do something useful, and like I can reuse my creative skills and energy. Um, yeah, that's about it. And then when I come back home, I look forward to like having dinner and like maybe watching a show or something with Haruka, my wife. And so like to me, it's like this is just like fulfilling. This is actually kind of what I wanted from the beginning, I think. Um, it's just like, hey, like something useful to work on, a partner, like a good routine, like yeah, the simple things.
And would you say you also have a longer term vision that you kind of like take energy or like, yeah, take energy from? Or do you really try to like keep this more in the present itself?
I think it's like becoming harder to have a very longer term vision. I actually don't know what's going to happen in like a few years even. So to me, like the vision I'm holding is like short to medium term, like literally like a couple months. You know what I mean? So like 3 months, 4 months. Okay, what's going to happen? So that's what I'm working towards today, right? So that's for me, that's where I'm at. Like that's where I don't really think beyond 3 to 4 months. Um, because it's just like I think it's becoming increasingly impossible to fully imagine what the world is going to look like, especially especially in my world in like startups and AI. Who the hell knows, bro? Like, who knows when the next breakthrough's coming? It's like this week, some other model is going to launch. Like everyone's doing crazy shit in the space every single day almost. So you kind of just have to like say, okay, given like how much crazy like regardless of what crazy shit happens, like how am I gonna like navigate that is the real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like more like it's like the serenity prayer almost, like this idea of like having the power to change what we can change and accept that which we can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Basically. Like if I feel like the future or belongs to people who are at peace with uncertainty and flexible enough to just like, like be okay with that, you know what I mean? Like there's a peace that like nothing, like they have no idea what's gonna go happen, but they're okay. Like whatever's gonna happen, I'll show up, I'll face it. Today is a good day. Let's show up for today. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that confidence is also the key in order to be able to do that. And I think really investing the time and work in yourself as well to be ready for those changes. Acknowledging the path that you've walked, seeing the challenges you've overcome, and realizing that, yes, there will be challenges in the future, yet I have this growth and I have this skill set that I have because of the challenges that came before. And I think that life also presents us with always with challenges that we can face. And sometimes, of course, it may feel completely like we're being tossed out of our comfort zone. At the same time, I think it's important to recognize whenever that is the case that we've been there before and that we've managed.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I really realized this past year is how valuable and how important it is to stand up for yourself, to showcase also that others, like, I realized that, like, the more you respect yourself, the more highly you view yourself, the more highly others view you. And that's an important part. Like, if you come up with a victim mindset, people will treat you like a victim
Hmm.
because that is what you kind of attract people to look like, view you as, because that's how you see yourself. And the more you treat yourself with respect, the more you say also like no to opportunities and offers where you're like, I don't think I'm being valued enough, can actually, I think, has a ripple effect for your own self and your own way of doing things. And I find that especially in phases of transition, of being one person and realizing there's more aspects to yourself, very challenging to do that step of like, oh, let me not do something that doesn't align to that new value that I give myself, even though your old self would have said yes to it.